was faster than I expected. Very warm welcome to everyone once again. It's exciting to be here. It's exciting to see so many familiar faces and so many new faces. This is a user conference. This is a learning event. This is a thought leadership event. But it is also a celebration, at least for myself. It's our inaugural conference. It's the first one, which we're going to be repeating annually. About the celebration, some of you have not seen me wearing a suit like this. This is as formal as it gets with me. It's a great place and great to see you guys. I'd like to thank our customers for everything. They are the reason why we are here. We owe everything to our customers, obviously. I'd also like to thank our partners who've been with us throughout our history, the partners that are here with us in the room, and actually also our sponsors. And I'd like to thank our, let's say, community of opinion makers, including some of the high-profile analysts. Some of us are with us in the room as well. And last but not least, I'd like to thank our team for putting this event together. We have just closed our fiscal year 2022. Our fiscal year starts in October, and what you see here are a few of the highlights of this fiscal year. It's been a great year. It's been our best year ever in many ways. We have achieved record revenue. We have achieved record revenue growth. There is one small box on this slide which probably should be bigger. We've been working on developing our partner ecosystem, and I'm really proud to say that by now we have more than 75 of active partners, which I think is great news for our customers and our potential customers, because those are the people that in many ways are close to you, either in terms of the being local or partners that you are used to working with. We have been, I believe last year, positioned on the leaders of one of the Magic Quadrants. We're on 2 Magic Quadrants. We have also been positioned in, I don't know what it's called, but the top right on the Forrester Wave, one of the 2 Forrester Waves, which of course we are very proud of, but again, at the same time, we owe it to you, to our customers, as many other things. We have by now more than 400 active customers, as in organizations, which combined with our freemium tool actually represents more than 80,000 people, individual users, using Ataccama technology, which again is something that we couldn't imagine 10 years ago. Last but not least, there is one particular highlight, a milestone in the history of Ataccama, which is the fact that after quite a difficult selection process, we have partnered with one of the best investors out there, which is Bain Capital. In this case, it's Bain Capital Tech Opportunities. We've been really lucky to have them on board. They decided to invest quite a significant amount of funds into Ataccama, and so far it's been a great cooperation. Interestingly enough, when we were planning this conference, we didn't have the idea who will be the investor. So the fact that the conference is in Boston and coincidentally Bain headquarters are in Boston, it really is a coincidence. I believe we have some of the key people from Bain in the room. I think I saw Dewey, maybe Zach, maybe Scott somewhere. If you do get a chance, talk to them. They're great people, and they're also very knowledgeable when it comes to understanding the domain of data management, which is actually one of the reasons why we were really happy to partner specifically with Bain. Enough of the bragging slide. These are some of our high-profile customers. Obviously, it's a selection. When I actually looked at the slide, I have a suspicion it's some top, I don't know how many in terms of the alphabet, because I don't see many logos beyond letter H. There are quite a few more. Some of the logos you will recognize. Some of them are probably for this crowd maybe less recognizable. Like one of the largest retail chains in France, Auchan. Unless you go to holidays in France, you don't know them, but they are huge. There is one logo that I think is missing, and it's missing for a good reason, because we just closed the deal probably 2 weeks ago. If it would be great if we could bring them on board or on stage. It would be a really nice thing to see. It's the iconic American motorcycle company. Yes, it is Harley Davidson. So I'm really proud about this one. Likewise, for our partner ecosystem, as I mentioned, it is developed quite broad, which I think is a great news. What you see here are the logos of our partner sponsors for this conference. You could you hopefully had a chance to talk to some of them or most of them during the breakfast. Do go talk to them. They're great companies from various of course, let's say, parts of adding the value. Some of them are platform partners, some of them are professional services, some of them are complementary technologies. Since we are meeting for the first time in this larger audience, I thought it might be good to give you a little bit of look back into our history, how it all started. And I just talked to one of the colleagues that have been with the company since its inception, David Holosh, who is actually, in a sense, a godfather of the whole idea. And I told him I'm going to be telling a story about one of our first customers. So I hope that I will get it right. We might have some other people in the room actually that remember this situation. So how it all started, as with many other businesses in general, it did start with a frustration. And the frustration was both on the side of back then our customer, and it was a frustration for ourselves. And when I'm saying ourselves, it was a project team, David, myself, a few other people who are actually still with Ataccama now. We were working for a professional services company in the space of data integration, basically, which happens to be Adastra, one of our sponsors here, one of our partners, a sister company today. So back then, our business was helping customers to integrate data and provide it to wherever it was needed. And we had this customer, which was a retail bank in Europe, and they just acquired. I think what I'm talking about was happening sometime in October, and let's say in summer they acquired a brand new, very promising, intelligent campaign management system. Some of you might know it. I believe it was Unica, if I'm not mistaken. And in October or fall, The idea was that when they onboard the campaign management system, they of course want to see some value, of this investment. And the plan was that they will run end-of-year campaign, right, to start bringing the value. And the campaign on a high level was a cross-sell campaign targeting customers that had both the current account and mortgage, and the upsell product was supposed to be consumer loans. So we were part of this bigger, let's say, business initiative. We were tasked with integrating the data for the campaign management application. And when the project got to the phase where they ran the first test of the campaign, it was a disaster. And being the crowd who you are, you probably can by now guess why it was a disaster. We could also see that, I mean, back then, being the part responsible for bringing the data together, the frustration, of course, was huge because there was a big anticipation, big expectation, and the campaign was supposed to be go live in November. This was October, and the first test run was really very bad. The reason why, of course, it was bad, it was the data, right? And if I remember correctly, there were two kind of distinct problems. For this type of cross-sell campaign, you obviously need a very good idea of the product ownership. You have to know very well each individual customer, what products they have, if they do have the mortgage, if they do have the current account, etc. Back then, when we put the data together, it was clear that both the product ownership itself, but also the data application was a big issue. Second issue was that the contact information, and mind you, it wasn't when the campaign were run through social media, right? The contact information was pretty spotty. They just didn't have enough of the contact information for the customers. So after the test run, there was a big meeting actually, and big disappointment and a little bit of blaming, right? Who is responsible, right? Is it the expensive campaign management system? Is it Ad Astra because they, did the data integration wrong? Is it actually the owners of those source systems, right? How come you don't have the contact information? How come you have so many duplicities, etc.? Again, it was more than 10 years ago. Back then, the idea of data governance, data stewardship, it was barely emerging. It was not what it is today. By the way, I'm pretty sure you don't have situations like this in your organization anymore, right? Of course not. So there was kind of a lot of blaming, and eventually we were able to fix it, at least to some extent, through a data application that we developed for that particular situation, and also some data cleansing, some data enrichment, and eventually the campaign was actually successful. But what is more important, that it was really one of the first occasions where we, and I have to say it was to a big extent David, actually together with Sharka, who is with us here as well, we realized that alongside those big things that everyone talks about, the campaign management, things that you can see on the surface, there is quite a big problem / opportunity which is somewhat hidden, right? Because normally, even back then, people didn't think about data quality as something that has some relationship to business. But that was really the beginning. I don't want to use the term enigma, but it was really we realized that there is some big problem for many organizations hence an opportunity for them and potentially for us. And I'm talking about one particular situation, one particular customer, but in reality, we started to see the same pattern in many other organizations that we had back then as a professional services company. And we actually reused whatever we developed on some other projects, and gradually we got to the point where we thought maybe it's a big enough problem for our customers that we could start a company. By the way, back then there were some technologies for that. I believe back then we looked at Trillium, we looked at Similarity. They were hugely expensive, hugely inefficient, and also very unsuitable for the emerging trend of service-oriented architectures. So that was the reason why we decided we'll give it a try. So based on the series of these problems that we were solving for customers, we could see that there is a huge problem and opportunity in managing, improving quality of the data, governing how you work with your data assets across organization, and being basically engineers out of let's say the 3 or 4 elements, let's say the technology, the people, the processes. We went after the technology, and thanks to some of our very, very smart colleagues, we started to build what is now core of Ataccama One, of our platform. That was the very beginning. Now, when we encountered these problems, the core of the problem really was that organizations didn't know, they didn't have even the awareness that there is something wrong with their data. They were not able to measure the quality, let alone improve the quality of the data. So we first focused on really the engine that was able to do these 3 or 4 things. One was the profiling, data quality monitoring, measurement, mastering, deduplication, and actually providing the data to whatever was the consuming party. From the very beginning, again, thanks to some of the technology visionaries we had, we focused on a few things. One was the metadata-driven nature of the whole thing. So it couldn't be hardwired or anything. We focused on real-time. We focused on service-oriented architecture. And from the very beginning, the users of what we were, providing to the organization were both people, but also systems, in general, APIs. So we had this core, very robust, enterprise-ready engine, and gradually we were adding some functionalities, of course, on top of it. One category of functionalities was really user interfaces, and after the core engine we added, let's say, technical user interface, and then we added business user interface for less technical business users, because we could see an emerging trend where some of the responsibilities were given to, and the people were interested in doing it, to the business people, non-technical users. At the same time, and we did have, or I did have, a short period where I thought it will all move away from the technical data engineers to completely the business users, the self-service type of approach. But it was very brief, and quickly we realized that there will always be, in general, these 2 big groups. One is the very technical data engineers, and one is the business data savvy, less technical people. And when we started to build the user application layer, browser-based, we did want to keep supporting both of these, let's say, communities. So there was a period where we were adding the user application modules like proper master data administration, reference data management, nice data quality monitoring, things like that. From the very beginning, we had a very rich metadata module inside the platform, but it was really inside the platform. It was inside the backend. And about 5 years ago, we started to see that there is a value in it which is bigger than, let's say, the technical value that we had the metadata to do the mappings, etc. And the value was twofold. One value was, of course, exposing this to the user, means data catalog, right? The other value is much bigger than the data catalog itself, which is something which is now being called, or the term is being used, to activate the metadata, which really means applying the metadata to something else than just showing it to the data stores to do something with it. And the application of the metadata in our world is geared towards automating as much as possible of the functionalities. And by automating, I mean intelligent automation, where the platform is and will be able to figure out more and more of the stuff by itself. What is the metadata? What are the business domain? What should the cleansing look like? What should the mastering look like? If I have the catalog, where is the best version of the data, etc., all the way to providing the data to the consumers. So let's say the third iteration, reinvention of the platform, was really driven by this concept of, for one, we want to give people access to the metadata, hence data catalog, but more importantly, we want to automate as much of the work that they are doing, take it away from the people, the boring things, and let the people focus on the value-added creative work, part of their work. The next natural kind of step was to connect the user modules. We always had the common backend, the metadata, the engine, everything. But the next natural step was to provide really integrated experience when it comes to the application modules. And it all kind of culminated in what is now our current version. And by current, I mean something that you will get the opportunity to see during this event as the first kind of public show of the new version 14. So it's our current version, but it's also our current vision going forward. And the vision, on one end there is a lot of things happening inside, but from the top level perspective, it's pretty straightforward. Our vision is a unified platform for people and systems to be able to get instant access to trusted, high-quality, governed data. That's our very simple vision, with, of course, a lot of work behind it. The underlying functionalities within that simple platform based on the simple vision, there's everything from, of course, the data catalog, which has the data profiling in it, data quality management, master data management, reference data management, data governance. What you will see during the upcoming hours is our brand new module, which is very kind of related to everything that we're doing, which is the data observability. Everything is available as part of one single platform. And we are and we will be working on the automation of everything to the point where our users will not have to worry about am I now doing data cataloging, or am I doing data quality, or am I doing mastering? No. All they will worry about is, where do I connect to the platform to get the best possible version of the data that I need? There are two things on this slide, which are more on, it's not functionalities, it's more of a concept. One is the data mesh and one is the data fabric. I'm pretty sure all of you or most of you have heard about these topics. Data fabric. Data fabric is this concept of the magical layer on top of your infrastructure, data infrastructure, to which you connect, and it will give you what you need. You will not have to know where you're going to get the data, how you're going to get the best version of the data. We've believed in this concept for a long time, even before I think it was cool. It was called Data Fabric, and we still believe it's a very important and very viable concept, and you can see many other technologies are kind of aligning with this concept. Then there is a data mesh. Data mesh is more of an organizational type of a concept. In very simple terms, it is about decentralizing the governance, meaning giving business units, teams, systems owners more responsibility when it comes to creating data products, but at the same time, in some way governing what they're doing so that it's reusable, so that it's sustainable, etc. And again, we are big believers in data mesh, and at the same time, we don't believe that data mesh can survive without some firm infrastructure, otherwise it will fall apart. So both of these concepts you will find very well supported within Ataccama platform. Everything that I've been talking about, the generations, the innovation, has one kind of thread going through it, which of course is the data democratization. Which is getting me to the last thing that I wanted to share with you, and it is why we are here, why we think, what is our purpose, what we are trying to deliver to you, our customers. And it's, again, relatively simple, but it requires a lot of hard work. We want to be enabling you, data people, and your organizations to do great and greater things by giving you access to high-quality, trusted data in a very seamless way. That's why we are here. Thank you very much.